Let's read it. I guess I just won't read chat. Nizaz's biography, part 1. Writer's note. I would like to thank my good friend Nizaz for offering to give me some of his thoughts regarding his childhood and give me information on the lost parts of his life. Without him, I'm afraid this biography would just be based on archaeological evidence from his life. I'd also like to thank his loyal community and whoever is the writer of this wiki page for Nizaz. He's probably a really good guy. He's really modest and a great friend, probably, but I don't know him personally, so ask him, or better yet, tell the writer of the wiki page or Nizaz how great he is. Epilogue. This is the story of one of the greatest space pirate Twitch streamer warriors in history. Many may think he's just a myth fabricated on many forums, or a childhood story to teach you good lessons and manners. But this man was real, and he was handsome, broke the roast honor and glory in his early years of his own planet. Am I mic muted? Okay, it's not muted. Through his fame as a great warrior, and then retired his humble life as the Twitch streamer you know today. This man's life was astounding and fitting for a tale told, but unfortunately many of the records and feats were destroyed on his home planet after the Great Cleansing. I had nothing to do with this, other than, saying, oh, it's fine to use my brother's name, because you wanted to know. This is completely them. The hero we know today as the warrior hero Nizaz may have had many more feats we don't know of. Luckily, I happen to be good friends with the great Nizaz, and he offered to give me information that was lost in his childhood, and his warrior used to give me answers about his lost mysterious past. Though Nizaz is acting as a guide for evens, I'm sure of this biography will not be biased and will in fact go through many aspects of the unsavory about Nizaz's life. Many aspects that are unsavory about Nizaz's life. I hope that you will enjoy hearing about the childhood hero Nizaz and all the events that you might have heard from the story. Your grandmothers must have read you from the by the fire from Nizaz's story, A Hero from Outer Space by Arthur Payne. Who's Arthur Payne? I want to see this. Is there someone named Arthur Payne? Who's this? Oh my god. Jesus, it's just like an old dead man. Okay. Okay. This book will go in depth on many of the stories of his magnum opus. Oh my god. Okay, this book will go in depth on many of the stories from his magnum opus because he was a great inspiration to me. For writing this book, I hope you enjoy the words from Nizaz's life and may learn something new from his great roles in history. Nizaz is pre-birth. I was born before I was born. Before Nizaz was born, his family was not rich but not poor. However, the mother got worldwide fame in the arena for fighting the king. At the time, the planet's history only ever... Wait, at the time in the planet's history, only ever women fought in the arena, probably because the king was horny. Oh my god, okay. His father was young compared to his mother at only 27 on Earth years. And his mother was 12, 36 on Earth years. Wait. So every 3 years. So every 3 years is 9 years on Earth, if I'm not stupid. This was not very strange on the planet Glurb, but it was strange for the woman to be the older one. This is because the choosing ceremony, the males choose the females they wish to fertilize their egg, and it's normally this way. Nizaz's mother was such an accomplished fighter, by the point she was given the right by the king to choose from the remaining males to fertilize the egg. Not being able to choose a female in the ceremony usually meant for males they didn't get to reproduce. However, this opportunity reared its head to allow Nizaz's father to... Okay. This is very going in depth on how I popped out. Just barely get chosen before Nizaz was born. His parents had a boy or girl, making Nizaz the third child. A boy and a girl, making Nizaz the third child. I'm actually a third child. Because, this is real. This is my backstory. On planet Glur, being the third-born child usually meant you were sent on the way... You were sent to on of the wars that the king was fighting. By the time Nizaz was born, the war of Nympht which later renamed to the Blood Bowl War because the war was the bloodiest war in the solar system's history up until that point. Nizaz's mother saw this coming before Nizaz's father gave birth to. Wait, what? And knew it would spell bad news for him, which is spelled BADNEWS, idiot. It's actually spelled www.nizzazm.fandom.com/WIKI/NIZZAZ, like underdash thing, BIOGRA PHY underdash PEART underdash 01E. I can't 01E. So she struck a deal with the king, that which very much might have saved Nizaz's life. The deal said that Nizaz would not have to go into the war, but Nizaz's mother's fourth child would be the king's adopted son, because the king was infertile and unable to have any. Nizaz's mother reluctantly accepted, understanding that this would help save the son's life and give her fourth son a much better life. This would lead to one of the bloodiest battles in the solar system's history, and ended up almost costing Nizaz's life. Estimate, do you think anything could have killed me? By the day of Nizaz's birth, everything was prepared for his father to give birth, but this was a momentous day for the family and led to the best heroes the universe has ever known. This is so far amazing. This is gonna take like 2 hours to read. and Nizaz's early life. Nizaz was an average-sized baby. True fact. In my fake life, where I was born on Earth, and I'm just a gamer, I was actually a large baby. But this is the fake life. Don't worry. Nizaz was an average-sized baby when he was born, but his birth was hard on his father, and the doctor warned the family he might die. And if he was to have another, this was a problem because Nizaz's mother agreed to the king. The fact, though, because of Nizaz's mother agreement to the king. This fact was not thought of very much until the day of Nizaz's birth, because it was a momentous day. He was born on the eve of Flobulon, which is a big day on the planet Golurv's Leaf, because it's said that the chosen one will be born on the day of Flobulon. Even though Nizaz was born on the eve of Flobulon, not the day of, many skeptics and historians believe that his birth might have actually taken place on the day of Flobulon, but the fact was concealed because the king thought the child would be put on the throne instead of him due to his connection to the faith. Many trusted historians dismissed the fact as a way of Nizaz to seem more godly, but he did later in his life is a stick to the fact that he might be chosen after all. This is a highly disputed fact, and the historians of the world simply believe it to be impossible to tell whether he was born on the eve or the day, because many of the files and novels were lost during the Great Cleansing. There was a bottle of bleach involved and a sponge. They scrubbed a lot of it. Where was I? We do know, despite the inconsistencies with Nizaz's birth date, he was examined by the priest and the pastors because on his birthday being so close to the Chosen One's day. In his early life, these exams took hours to go through and would be repeated until he was 12 years old. Wait, what? Okay, that doesn't go along with what happened up there, but okay, we're just gonna... Okay, so years are weird. These seem to have left a mark on young Nizaz's brain because he fondly remembers these exams and is fondly and is traumatized to this day at the event that took place during them. One of these sessions individually he described in great detail. He remembers the priest taking a cattle prong and using it to burn his back. He still has these scars to this day, and unfortunately still has the memories on the thing that did come in handy from these sessions was a depth records of his early life, and these records unfortunately were not destroyed by the Great Cleansing. So I was burned with a cattle prong. What did it say on it? I'm gonna look up cattle prong maker. Can I make a custom one? Cattle prod generator. Okay, I apparently can't make one. I was gonna make one that says gamer on it. But sadly I can't. because these were records of the church. That makes these records one of the oldest records of Nizaz ever, and would become known as the proclaimed tapes after. These records describe Nizaz as being a respectful but quiet boy that grew very smart very quickly, and used many this as evidence to prove he was the chosen one, but many students saying that it was probably just from his high IQ scores. I'll do an IQ test eventually. Whatever the reason, Nizaz was far smarter than his classmate. The single one. The single one. I only had one classmate. I was kind of a gamer. Though Nizaz was smart, many describe him as being too smart for his own good and was known as a naughty youth by his neighbors. In this far contrast, the young, gentle boyhood that the priest wrote about. I'm a naughty boy, apparently. Nizaz his rise to glory. Nizaz was a troubled boy, like many others that lived on the planet. The chance of surviving childhood was slim due to the expectations of the church. Many children lost their hands due to the church cutting them off. This was always the executioner's axe. And this was always the executioner's axe hanging over many of the boys' heads. Nizaz recalls himself narrowly escaping this fate and being scolded for it. Never quite understood his mother's threats and assumed the threats of the church cutting off his hands were just hollow threats made by his mother. He believed this until one day the students from his class walked in with their hand chopped off. Most people knew you did not live very long after your hands were chopped off because the lack of modern medicine was yet to be invented due to the fact that most scientists are fascinated with space travel. Knowing this, most other children ignored the young boys and treated them like a ghost. Nizaz did not know this unspoken rule, so he sympathized with the young boy. The boy who lost his hands just the day before would not show up to school tomorrow. This would be one of the moments in Nizaz's life that he would not forget about. He describes the scene as gruesome and a true lack of humanity from the people on his home planet. Afternote, like your mom's house. Wait, if we're not if they're not humans, how is that a lack of humanity? This horrid scene, however, would not stop him from pursuing his passion of fighting in the arenas, especially like your mom's house. This passion was most likely brought up by the exposure to the sport because his mother and her job fighting at the death tournaments. Up until that point, no male had ever been a gladiator, showing Nizaz at the age of 4.5, almost 13 at Earth year. So, wait, what? So, half a year is a year, but, okay, this is confusing. No, wait, almost 13, so half a year isn't a full year. It's, the age system is very confusing. Got as close as you could get. Nizaz volunteered to be a janitor at the stadium. This was also respected, yet not well-paying job in the planet Glurbs. But Nizaz did not do this job to pay for the pay. He did it to be exposed to the sport and learn the ins and outs of gladiating. By the time his brother was born, he had already started practicing on his own time. I thought the dad couldn't get pregnant anymore because they're would die. By the time his father was pregnant again, Nizaz graduated at the age of 4 and 1/3. Wait, what? 1/3 is less than a half. What? 13 in Earth years. Okay, this is very confusing. This was a young age, but not unheard of. Nizaz's brother's birth was much more solemn than Nizaz because the entire family knew that the brother would be given to the king, who would grow and weaken in his old age. After the birth and brief look at his brother, he wouldn't be seen again until he was much older, because the king's advisors took him right out of the womb. But I thought the dad died. I thought my dad died here, guys. What the hell? Like he had a net on the second planet. Like he had a net, and the second he popped out, it was captured like a fish. He even started flopping around like one. Nizaz remembers being sad. That is sad. What did you expect of me, at thesaurus? When writing this final, go look online. Okay, one of the suggestions is melancholy, and there are you happy now? Nizaz remembers being melancholy at the loss of his newborn brother. Nizaz's climax of the part 1. Okay. Climax. Years after the loss of his brother, when Nizaz was an adult at the age of 6, 18 in Earth years. After note, I didn't mean to make him the age of consent, I swear. Wait, what? What? Okay, this is scary. He was finally given a chance in the Coliseum. In the battle of a millennia, where the winner would be give the beauty of the gods and be powerful above all else. This was Nizaz's first time in the fight. It would not be easy. Nizaz had never been in a fight before and was only able to fight is because of personal connection to the king. The king, despite his old age, did come and watch a tournament with many of his advisors, and one he knew named Jack. Nizaz did not have trouble with any of the matches except the last one, which is also used as proof that he is the chosen one. His last round was against the king's own advisor, Jack. There's something very familiar about him, and then Nizaz put his finger on it. It was his long-lost dog. Dog? What? But Nizaz was wrong about that because it was actually his long-lost brother. But Nizaz didn't have much time to think about that because Jack came after him, came in for the attack. Jack got Nizaz to the floor, but Nizaz won by saying he was the real brother and then beating the shit out of him. Oh my god, what the fuck? He's like 3G. Then he got the beauty of the gods, which is why he's called the sexiest Twitch streamer in the universe, and gained the ability of channeling his cum energy, which he has a lot of. This upset the king because he had spent much time training Jack for this very purpose. The king was so enraged that he sent the guards to capture him, but Nizaz escaped the planet as a stowaway on a pirate vessel. That is amazing. This is beautiful. That was beautiful. This took me 20 minutes to read. This is amazing.